every year we kind of fantasize of the new. Everybody is about the new, the brand new. And the brand new for the NFL is the quarterbacks of 2024, the 2024 quarterback class, right? Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May. Now, we won't get a chance to see J.J. McCarthy for the rest of this season, possibly.
Sadly.
Well, we'll see if they put him on IR or not. Maybe he can return at the end of the year. Who knows? So that's a situation that the Minnesota's kind of dealing with right now. Think about the Atlanta Falcons and Michael Penix. Bo Nix, we can talk about him as well. Sean Payton had some nice words about his quarterbacks. Yeah. But we get so caught up in the class of 24, the brand new class. I'm like, what about the class of 23? What about the second-year dudes that we really need to focus on? Because these are the guys who have to take that leap. Now, C.J. Stroud has put himself in a different stratosphere. He was a Rookie of the Year, Pro Bowler, took his team to the division title in the AFC South, won a playoff game over the Cleveland Browns. So I think we remove C.J. Stroud from this conversation right now. But then I look at the other quarterbacks who need to take a leap. And for some, maybe need to take a giant leap. But I want to present these names to you guys, and we will see how much faith that you have in these players going into their second year at the quarterback position. Number one has to be the number one overall pick in 2023, Bryce Young. He's got to have a big, big year. Now, he's got a new offensive coordinator in Dave Canales. And you know what? I'll start there first because Dave Canales was very complimentary of Bryce Young. Here's a little Dave Canales talking about his second-year quarterback, or for his first year as head coach, Bryce Young. Here's Dave Canales talking about Bryce Young.
I thought he was sharp yesterday. He had 2 interceptions. One he didn't see shy, and then the other one was, learn the lesson. Don't be late outside, So in general, again, compartmentalize the mistakes and say, what was the body of work? So today he came out. He was sharp. He was getting us in and out of the huddle. He's accurate. He just shows like that's Bryce. He loves it. When he gets challenged and the stakes rise, that's him. He just stays the same and he continues to be accurate. And I love the way he handled today.
Shout out to Dave Canales, by the way. Grew up right down the street, by the way, not too far from here. You know that, right?
No.
Yeah, Dave Canales. Oh, yeah. The pride of Carson, California. Oh. Dave Canales, the head coach.
Also did a great job resurrecting Geno Smith,
yes.
Baker Mayfield last year. Helped him, obviously, get this head coaching job in Carolina. So, I mean, he's got a tall task in front of him with Bryce Young because it was not good.
Not good.
In 2023.
Well, that sounds promising right there, that he's got a quarterback that he's kind of helping see the field differently in a new set of eyes or new set of way of going through his progression. So that's a great thing there. Kind of looking at this rest of this list, I've got Bryce Young. I've got Anthony Richardson, the quarterback of the Indianapolis Colts. I got Will Levis, Tennessee Titans quarterback. And I even put on this list
AOC. Put him on there, man.
AOC, Aidan O'Connell, the quarterback of the Raiders.
I mean, you're a former Raider. Do you have any insight? Is he ahead of Gardner Minshew in their quarterback battle?
Okay, so I released this about a week and a half ago when I was at Raiders training camp. And being there, I'm watching a little bit of everything. I'm watching the quarterback battle. I'm watching the offensive line, who was down a couple starters, right? No Colton Miller available at the moment, so they're kind of working through that. I'm looking at the running backs. There was no Devontae Adams there. So for me, I'm trying to give a real assessment on the quarterback competition because no one ever looks at the factors of who was available when they were going in. Right? Everyone's going to say, well, he was 12 of 13 and 7-on-7, and this guy was only 7 of 13 and 7-on-7. Or he was 10 of 14 and 11-on-11 drills. And I'm saying, yeah, but one guy had Max Crosby and Christian Wilkins beaming down on him, and then the other guy had backups. Like, let's just be real. But, people love the news. They love statistics. So to me, when it comes to the quarterback battle with the Raiders, and we're talking about Aidan O'Connell and Gardner Minshew, it was hard for me to say who's got a leg up. I will say this, no one's talking about their defense though, Brock. That's the part that I said. It's hard to say if this quarterback is better or who's leading the charge when maybe this was a team that's going to be led by their defense with Patrick Graham, their defensive coordinator, 3 years. I mean, I saw Christian Wilkins and Max Crosby on the same side doing an 11-on-11 drill, and 5 plays in a row, the offensive line could not block them. I mean, they were stunts and twists and Crosby, and every time, you know what he says? Every single play, sack! I mean, it's like the ball snaps, sack! Sack! Like, no, you wouldn't have got there. And then Christian Wilkins getting involved. So these competitions that go on, to me, I say sometimes you have to look at the whole body of work. Now, Antonio Pierce said he's going to name a starter, but Aidan O'Connell was one of those second-year players I want to see. He was thrown into the fire early on last year. Yep. Head coach was fired. Jimmy Garoppolo was benched and signed off by Devontae Adams, as we learned in the receiver.
Just sent away. Yeah.
But I want to see how does he handle this competition. I think he is the leader in the clubhouse. He did finish your season as the starter. I would be shocked if Minshew started. I would put Minshew as the backup early on. And let's be honest, that's where Minshew has been traditionally throughout his career. He's been the backup to Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, and then you just bring last year Anthony Richardson. But if something happens, it's okay. Gardner can take care of it, right? So Will Levis is more for me, and I don't know. I don't care to smell his cologne inspired by mayonnaise, by the way. I don't even know what that's about, but I know he puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Something like that.
I think it was a bit that he's turned into a money-making venture.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know what? Use your brand. Your brand is who you are. But Will Levis, I want to see him in this offense. I want to see him in Brian Callahan's offense. And what Brian Callahan, who has worked with, obviously, a lot of quarterbacks, but most importantly, Joe Burrow the last couple of years because they were together in Cincinnati. I want to see what Will Levis can do now with some of these weapons. I love having, obviously, Calvin Ridley. DeAndre Hopkins not available for a little bit of time, but he had a little injury, but he'll be coming back. They have a nice little offensive line. They've picked up Jamal Adams. They've picked up Quandre Diggs defensively. They got some pieces, and I'm not saying that they're a team that is going to make a ton of noise, but every year of the last 21 years since we've had realignment, we've had now 32, the 8 divisions, 4 teams per division. There's been 19 teams that have went from worst to first in that division.
Yep.
We've had it every single year. And so I started to circle some teams who could be on that radar. And one of those teams for me could be the Tennessee Titans. They went 6-11 last year. Now, is it going to be tough for the Texans to fall back? Possibly. But Tennessee is one of those teams that can make the jump, right? Another team I had in that same combination. And it's funny, the Cincinnati Bengals go 9-8.
And they finish last.
I know. But if they win, they technically go from worst to first.
Chargers are on that too, right?
Yeah, Chargers are on that. But this injury to Justin Herbert, he's still walking around in that boot and plantar fascia. When I hear plantar fascia, that just, not
good, Mike.
So the Chargers could be actually in for a quarterback if this injury isn't progressing. Because I saw Easton Stick the other day. No pun intended. They need to stick him back on the bench because he was not getting it done. So I'm looking at that. I mentioned Aidan O'Connell, Will Levis, Anthony Richardson. Joe Flacco's going to be good for him. And I'm happy that they got Joe Flacco. I'm happy that Joe Flacco's back in the league, by the way, because obviously there's a knowledge. Joe Flacco's a Super Bowl MVP. And there's no reason for him to be at home when he showed what he can do last year and literally off his couch with the Cleveland Browns, showed that he still deserves to be in the league. And the Indianapolis Colts found a way for him to be a mentor. Now, can Joe Flacco still play? Sure. But it's about progressing the game. I love this part. I've had veteran players when I first got into the NFL. I wanted their knowledge. I wanted to soak up all the everything that they had learned, I wanted all of that knowledge, man. Like, give me, how do you train? How do you study? I want to be one of the greatest. I wanted to be a 15-year veteran. Now, it didn't happen, but still, though, I love that thirst for knowledge, and that's what I'm seeing from Anthony Richardson, that he's going to learn from Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco is going to give him because he realized this isn't a quarterback battle. He's there to be the mentor to Anthony Richardson, but if anything does happen, you've got a quarterback in Joe Flacco who can still help you get to the playoffs. I mean, they were in it last year with Gardner Minshew all the way up until the end, and yet, obviously there were some mishaps along the way, but it wasn't to the fault of the quarterback. They just were a team that just ran out of gas late in the season. That's why I'm looking at Anthony Richardson. So as we get ready to watch the 2024 class of quarterbacks in the NFL, let's start looking at the 2023 class again. Let's look at the guys who need to make the jump, because it's kind of crazy to think about it. There are one more season after this from being eligible for the new contracts. Mm-hmm. And I can only imagine that CJ Stroud, who is agent is David Mulligetta, who's also the agent of Jordan Love.
Hey, now.
He goes back to back.
Ooh, that contract starts with a...
Man, that starts 7?
No.
8? Per year? I mean, what are you saying?
65, probably.
65? Oh, no, I think it'd be higher by then.
Higher than 65?
Oh, yeah. In 2 years? We're talking 2 years.
Higher than whatever Dak gets, right?
Dak's probably going to come in at 60. And then the year after, because he's got to wait not this season, but then the year after. So if Dak gets in at 60, you play through this season, you're kind of at 62. Then after that season, you're at 63, 65, right in that range.
Especially if maybe they go to the Super Bowl in the next 2 years.
See, now you're doing it. But they got to pay Will Anderson, too. So they may have 2 guys they got to pay at the same time.
If the Texans go to the Super Bowl in the next 2 years,
okay,
Stroud's getting 75 a year.
Absolutely. And you have to start that way. That's where the conversation starts. Like, I took your franchise
75? We're not even at 60 yet.
If they go to the Super Bowl in the next 2 years,
2 years,
I'm telling you.
A guy who hasn't even been in the title game is about to get 65.
Oh, take a look at this. I mentioned I was at Saints training camp. What year did Derek Carr sign that deal, Brock? What year did Derek Carr sign his deal with the Raiders?
Oh, with the Raiders.
Only because at the time it was he was the highest paid quarterback.
At
the time.
Yeah.
He was the highest paid quarterback. I believe the APY average per year was about $34 million. And I believe that contract was signing, 2017, 2018, possibly, or maybe even 2019. Who knows? But think about it from that $35 million APY to it's ballooned to almost 60 now. Going to get to possibly 70. That's why I'm looking at the year 2 quarterbacks who are inching closer to that big payday, or maybe it could be even Brock Purdy.
Yeah,
maybe that guy.
2017, Derek Carr, a 5-year, 125, and then in 2022, a 3-year, 121.
See, I'm just saying, man.
Not that
2021, not that long ago. Not that long. That 2017 was the original. That was so from 2017 to 2024. That 7-year window, it went from the APY average per year went from
Basically,
about 33, 34
basically.
to that.
Oof.
So you gonna tell me in 2 more years we're not gonna add at least 10 million on that? And Brock Purdy's gonna be the guy.
Brock Purdy's been to a Super Bowl. He's a guy who's actually
been to 2
done it.
conference championship games.
Guy was like 3 minutes away from winning the Super Bowl last year.
Oh, he said he learned from it too. He learned he can be better.
And he's Diesel now.
He's Diesel now. I love it.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.